Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about my debt journey. I thought I would record a video just to document what my debt journey consisted of and how I got into debt. So let's get into it. So on my notepad here, I've just detailed what my debt journey was like. Now, just to make you aware that I was in a debt arrangement scheme with Step Change. I decided to go into this program because I was at my lowest and I had no way out, so to speak. So this at the time was my only option to make sure that I paid back all the debt that I had. Now, as you can see, I had a total of debt of £21,709.93. And what I'm going to do is just going through my debt journey with you and the dates, etc. I'll try and cover over everything in regards to what I had to do and stuff. So I contacted Step Change around the 5th of August 2017. Now, my debt, I would say I was started defaulting on pretty much the nationwide loan, the Lloyds credit card, from April 2017. And it's because I just couldn't keep up with the payments. Now, I got myself into this debt purely because I just was not looking after my money and I was just spending recklessly. That's the truth, to be honest. I don't recall exactly what I spent money on or how I racked up this debt, but it is what it is, unfortunately, and I had to pay the consequences in that respect. So for me to get myself back on track, I decided to go to Step Change and ask for help to see if they could give me a budget or give me advice or help me, basically. So from April to about August, I was just burying my head, not really focusing on my debt. I was bringing in less income than what my expenses were for outgoings, and it still didn't bother me. I just kept using the credit cards to my limit. I think there was like £4,000 a limit on the credit card. My original loan was £10,000, I think, £9,000 to £10,000 for nationwide. But then I decided to get a top up. So the original debt for the £9,000 to £10,000 loan, personal loan, that was to clear previous debt, which I had about £9,000 to £10,000 in credit card debt. And that was purely just to clear off that debt, which I did do. And then for some reason or another, I decided to get a top up of, I think it was £5,000. I think it was around about £14,000 or something it all came up to, and the end of how much I borrowed without interest before the interest got added on. So I thought that I would be just debt free, continue on, but then obviously I got a top up. Again, I don't know why I got a top up. So my original minimum payments from Nationwide was around £250, I would say, before I got the top up loan. And then it doubled to about, well, actually more than doubled. It was £550 a month. Now, this is where it went down, I would say, because I was paying £550 or something for Nationwide minimum payment, direct debit. Then I was paying whatever the minimum payment was on the Lloyds credit card, along with the Next catalogue and the Ferry catalogue. And I was paying out rent. That was pretty much my bills. That was pretty much my actual income, like, already gone, because I was on a very low income back then. And then I was still just spending like I had the money, really, which I didn't, obviously. I think there was like holidays, there was stupid purchases, online spending, you know, I was a serious spender back then. And I could no longer deal with it. I could no longer upkeep. I was withdrawing money at my credit card from the ATM, which is a no-no, shouldn't be doing that, but I didn't care. So as much as that sounds horrible that I didn't care, it's just the honest truth. So I went to Step Change, contacted Step Change on the 5th of August, went through everything with them. My head was all over the place, I was stressed, I wasn't sleeping, it was affecting me physically, mentally, and I just wanted it to be gone. So they went through everything with me, and what they do is they go through a budget with you, and it's called a debt arrangement scheme in Scotland. It's slightly different in England with Step Change. They're a charity, but I'm not too sure about the English side of how it all works out. I just know about the Scottish side because obviously that's the one I was in. So after going through a whole budget of outgoings, incoming, expenses and everything like that, they don't judge you. They purely just want to help you, and they even put into the budget like for clothing, personal items, things that I never thought of or thought that I didn't need because I wasn't thinking about it before. I was just spending what I wanted to, when I wanted to, and on what I wanted, pretty much. After going through everything from there, that was approved on the 29th of August, and I think between this time to the 2nd of October, they were contacting the 4 creditors down here to ask them to come into the arrangement plan scheme to enter that. And what that would mean is that they could not come after me or add on any interest if they entered the Step Change arrangement. Everybody did agree. Nationwide did have a stipulation because they were the highest, obviously. At the time I had a hire purchase car on finance, and I only bought the car the year before 2016, and I was paying out £228. Now I had never missed a payment on this car, and they questioned that because obviously they were like, how can she not pay us back, but she can pay £228? Is that necessary for a car, for her to have a car? Step Change backed me up because I did need it for personal circumstances, and Nationwide would only agree to enter the arrangement if the monthly fee direct debit excuse me, would be checked again and looked at once my hire purchase car had been, paid off, which would be May 2021. So I agreed to everything on that, and from that moment they would submit the final figures to Step Change. All companies would, and they were not allowed to add on any interest from that moment. So I think it was from like the 2nd of October as a start date shows on my Step Change arrangement is when everybody went into the agreement, and that meant that there was no changes. They couldn't come for more money. They would get this settled amount that's been advised and agreed with both of them. So from then on, it was agreed that I would pay £195.52 a month. My term was 9 years and 4 months at the start of my arrangement, which is a long, long time. But it was the only option that I had. I defaulted, as I said, on my personal loan, so I'd missed payments, and I defaulted on a credit card and the Nationwide. Next, I think putting a default against me. Ferry didn't really report anything on my credit report just to show that it was an arrangement plan. However, Nationwide next put defaults on my report, which I expected. Lloyd's recorded as missed payments for a number of years. So just to give you a bit of context, that because I entered a credit agreement with the 4 companies, because it was finance, it was credit, I broke that agreement from the moment that I stopped paying my minimum payments. And therefore, that's why they can record default on my credit report if they want to. This meant that my credit was going down. it was going to be the worst I've ever had it at. I couldn't tell you what my credit was at before I entered the arrangement, but from the moment I entered it in default and started to default, it was recorded on my credit report for step change for the debt arrangement scheme, and my credit went down to score 50, as in 50. It was the worst that I've ever seen a credit score, but I knew that that was going to happen. I didn't have a house, I didn't have a mortgage. The only thing I had to my name was my car and my phone contract. So I knew going forward I was going to get absolutely nothing on credit. So that was the consequences of this, and this would be on my report for 6 years. Now, bearing in mind, I still didn't really care as far as I was concerned. The stress started to come away from me because I knew it had been handled. I knew I was paying a fee back every month through step change. I knew I would only get default letters maybe every 6 months, 12 months, you know, to advise that I'd broken the credit agreement, the original one. As far as I was concerned, it was dealt with. I was paying back the money regardless of how long it would be. Because of that, I still continue to just be in that mindset of it's dealt with, I'm paying them back, what else do they want, really? Which is not a really good mindset to be in, but I can't change it. It's just how I felt. I don't recall continuing the spending. I think I started to rein it in a bit, but it wasn't until probably about 2018, 19, I think it was, that I started to see that I was saving money. Now, I still rented with, I stayed with parents, family members, but I was still paying bills and rent and stuff, and I still had a low income at that time. I did improve my income because I did move jobs, I did get a higher salary, but I learned not to really, I think it just took a whole mind shift that I went from a spender to a saver without realising. I wasn't trying to just buy all the latest fashion or technology. I just decided to stop spending. But to be honest, I stopped socialising, which is not healthy either. So it had a downward spiral on me, and it continued to do that. Then the pandemic hit in March 2020, and what I found myself was staying at home, just working like everybody else, you know, and I was doing a lot of overtime. I was doing about 60 hours a week when my contract is 35 hours a week. So I was doing a lot of overtime, and I had 2 bonuses within the last 3 years as well, because we didn't get one in 2021, but I had all that overtime because I had nowhere else to go. There was nothing else going on. So I thought, why not just do the overtime? Again, I still didn't notice I was saving a lot of money because I wasn't spending much. I wasn't buying clothes. I wasn't going on holidays or anything like that. And that's what I just continued to do. So I wasn't really budgeting. I just wasn't really doing anything to spend the money. But I had no credit cards or anything at that point. And I think that's what really helped me, is that I was able to get to a point where I wasn't spending, I wasn't socialising, as much as it's not really healthy for not to connect with people and everything. I think just for my part of the journey, it kind of took a toll on me even afterwards to know that I'll not get a house, you know, nobody's got to touch me because of my history with credit, bad debt. That's just what was in my mind. And I think from when I paid off my car, which was May 2021, previously I was seeing £195.52 getting paid out to Step Change to distribute to all the creditors every month coming off my bank. But I wasn't really seeing it going down much because it isn't a lot of money, £195.52. It's not a lot of money to be paying down debt, which is 21,000 plus. So I think that was because that's why I didn't have the motivation to really see the bigger picture. And I think that's important to say that because it was important. It should have been important because I was still paying down debt and I was still, paying that debt back and making sure that they got the money that I had borrowed, that they get it all back, including interest. But I think it was because when I paid off my car in May 2021, Step Change contacted me and asked if I would be able to revise my budget to look at increasing my premium direct debit amount. Straight away, I just said, I'm going to amend the standing order to, it's not a direct debit, it's a standing order. I'm going to amend the standing order to £430. And this is purely because I took the money that I was paying, £228, and added it to the £195.52 because I wasn't seeing that money anyway previously. So it was a no-brainer just to move it over to Step Change. And I just rounded it up to the £430 just to make it a round number. And so from June 2021, I started paying £430. And then as the months kept going on, I started to see a big improvement with my debt going down because I was paying a lot more money. I was paying more than double of what I was paying originally. And I thought, oh, well, this looks promising. And also what happened is my term from 9 years, 4 months from the original start date had reduced down to just over 6 years because I had increased the monthly amount. So Nationwide got exactly what they had requested and I stuck to that agreement. And they're the ones who get the highest amount of the percentage of the monthly amount. And then it would be Lloyd's, and then it was next, and then it was Ferries Odd due to the amounts that were outstanding. The thing within this agreement, I couldn't pay any of these off. So like a snowball effect, I couldn't pay any of these off because that would then end my agreement with Step Change, because that would be classed as favouritism to a particular creditor. If I was to contact like Lloyd's or Ferry, for example, the lowest one, and say, oh, I can pay you off now, I've got the money here, that wouldn't look good to the other creditors, and Step Change don't allow it for Scotland anyway for their arrangements. And that means that I would no longer have that safety net. So I didn't pay, that's why I didn't pay any additionals to the actual arrangement, because I couldn't without them being consequences, and I didn't want to go back on that. So going forward from June 2021, as I said, I started to see my debt coming down, my term had reduced, and it kind of put a little fire in my belly to say, well, there is light at the end of the tunnel, because back here, I seen no light at all at the end of the tunnel. And my focus was just to pay it back. But as soon as I started to see bigger increases to the payment to then reduce the overall debt amount down here, I did see that there was light at the end of the tunnel. So that meant that I think it was January 2024 was my end date. And I wanted to pay it off earlier than that. But again, I wasn't pushing myself because I knew that it would stay on my report anyway, regardless, for 6 years. And at this point, I still thought, well, I'm not going to be getting a house, a mortgage, nobody's going to touch me. I continued on until around September 2022, because that was the end date. I had accumulated, savings from around 2018 right up to present as it is. And I had probably around just under 6,500, I think it was 6,400 and odd pounds left of this debt of the 21 grand. And I had this money available in my bank, and it didn't mean that I was going to leave myself short. I still had a large amount of savings, regardless if I took that 6,400 and odd pound away to pay that off in one go. I was sitting thinking to myself, why am I paying £430 out a month from my salary when, excuse me, when I have the money there to pay it off. And this is not to boost or anything like that to anybody out there. I know it's hard. It's hard. I'm single. I paid this off myself. But I know there's people out there that's got families, got kids, who have 2 incomes and still unable to do that because it's just the cost of living and how things are right now and have been for the last couple of years. I also had the opportunity overtime consistently. I stopped doing overtime probably in June this year. So there's 3 years, just over 3 years I had overtime consistently. So bear that in mind, how my savings were going up and how I was able to get that figure of just under 6.5 grand to pay off in a winner to close my agreement. I just want to put that out there because I know it is hard. But I had that money there and I just kept on arguing with myself. I think it was a point of that I went from a spender to a saver, and I was worried that if I took a certain amount of money out of my bank, am I going to go back into debt? Even though I had more money there to cover myself and everything, I was stable financially, but I still just had that fear. And so that's the kind of fear that I still have, is like, if I'm paying for something, if I want to buy something, even if it's a need, I'm wrestling with myself, with my mind for about a week on that purchase, if I should or if I shouldn't, because I somehow feel guilty when I shouldn't, especially if I've got the sinking funds there. But it's just the way it's worked out, that how I operate now and how I look at things. But I am trying to remind myself I've saved that money up for a certain reason and it's there to be used. So I came to the bite in the bullet and just said, you know what, let's get it paid. Let's get this paid. That means I don't pay this £450 out a month. I'm completely debt free. So I had to contact Step Change and say to them that I need to know exactly what the final amount is, because they had to contact all the creditors to double check and make sure. I could view this online, but they still had to go and double check and make sure that those were the final figures. So these are not the final. These weren't the the figures at the end. Obviously, this was at the very beginning, and took them a couple of days to come back to me just to confirm that, yep, that is the final figure, the 6,400 and odd pounds. I'd make it by bank transfer, but they had to ask me to give them evidence of where the money was coming from, which bank account, savings account, how did I get this savings? Was it by work? Was it gifted to me? I've never been through anything like this. I was like, this is quite intense. I understand though, it's for fraud and everything, and they need to make sure that it's legit, really, especially when they're paying off the creditors. So I gave all that kind of evidence, like pay slips, bank statements, to show that the money going in my account, and it wasn't a lump sum going in my account, it was like over the last 3 years. And they accepted that, and then once they received my payment, they distributed it to all the creditors and then confirmed back to me probably a couple of days later after that. It's probably all in about a week, that my arrangement scheme had come to an end. And it was closed on the 16th of September, and my credit report would be updated the following month. Well, 46 weeks, in which it did. At that time, when I was sending that payment for 6,000 and odd, I still was wrestling with myself. It's just so strange. I was shaking. I was like, oh my God, do I do this? I know that was the right thing to do, but I was still panicking. I don't know why, I just was. But I did bite the bullet and press a button, and it was sent. And ever since then, from September 2022, it has been a massive stress relief, knowing that I don't have any debt to my name. Biggest achievement I've ever done, and the biggest learning curve from being through that. So I just want to say that you will get there in the end. There is hope. There is light at the end of that tunnel. You just got to keep on going. And it is going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. The best thing I could say is just speak about it. Speak to someone, whether it's a family member, friend, step change. Just speak to someone. Speaking about it helps. Might not resolve it, but it helps because people give ideas, give you assistance on that and everything. But yeah, it's just, I wanted to document this to show you, because obviously when I'm doing the new YouTube channel and uploading, I've not got any debt. So it may seem that I've got bigger income, disposable income, but I just want to show you that's exactly what I went through. And to this date, I'm still debt free. So it's a year on, just a year over, I'm still debt free. I did get 2 credit cards between this time. I think it was like 2018-19. I got a Vanquish credit card, and this was purely to boost up my credit score, because there was no other way of doing it. And then I got a Capital One credit card, probably in 2020, I think it was. Both of them had £500 credit limits at the time. Capital One still got a credit limit of £500. My Vanquish one's increased to 1,450 over time, but I use them responsibly. Sometimes I forget I've got a credit card and it goes like dormant on my credit report. The report is no activity, which doesn't look good for my credit report. But I've learned to only use them if I've got the money there to pay it off every month. Comes off direct debit off my bank account every month for the full amount. But as I said, I just use it for like diesel, or, you know, if I'm buying something online, but I have the money aside. Excuse me, sorry, I've still got this cough. And I think it's just because I'm talking so much. But yes, that's how I use it responsibly, and it's helped improve my credit. My credit score is probably around 558 now on TransUnion. And they have helped, but I'm not promoting to use credit cards to use guys or anybody. You know, everybody's journey is different. I can make sure that I handle my credit cards responsibly. I think the fear is there for me not to go back to how it was before around this time, and to hopefully never get back into that situation. I'll never say never. You know, I do want to get a mortgage. I may have to get a car finance in, you know, in the near future, because my car is like 11 years old. And as you know, as the car gets older, it starts having more problems. Sometimes it's more money than it's worth. But now I'm in a situation where I've got sinking funds, you know, for car maintenance, for emergency, etc., that I don't worry about like having to use a credit card or not having the money there. And that's just because I've been purely making sure that I am where I am now, and I try not make the mistakes that I've had before. But I'm not perfect by all means, and I just wanted to say that it can be done. You can be debt free, however long it may take you. You just got to keep on going as much as you can. And my situation, it was very bad at the beginning, but it's now turned out to be the better place for me, because I don't know where I would have been without the step change. And now I'm in that position where I'm no longer in debt. I went for a mortgage in principle. I was told by mortgage advisors that I would never get accepted by a high street bank. It would be a specialist lender because of my debt. Well, I can tell you now, I got accepted for a mortgage principal with my bank. Yes, it would be a 15% deposit, but that's what I expected. It's just due to my credit rating at the moment. But I would be offered quite a lot of money. And I never thought I would be able to pass a credit score, in which I did. So if that doesn't tell you that things can change, then I don't know what can tell you that things can get better for you. And I am proud, that's my proudest moment, is clearing this debt and knowing that I can have a mortgage if I wanted to. But I'm not right now. I just got the mortgage in principle so that I know where I'm at, and I'm saving now for a house deposit for 2 to 3 years' time. And then when I'll go back to the market to see getting our mortgage in principle, it might be I only need a 5%, 10% deposit, because my credit is probably more likely improved by then. And that is what I'm aiming for. That is the end goal, is to get a house deposit and to get a mortgage, but not just to get it straight away because I can get accepted. I'm going to make sure I've got everything aside: solicitor's fees, deposit fee, you know, bills, 1 month's expenses, etc. I want to be prepared as much as possible that I can. So I just wanted to show you all this, yeah, and go through it. But if you've got any questions, please let me know and I'll try and answer them as best as I can. I think I've covered everything that I could possibly think of, but I may have forgot anything. But yeah, if you've got to the end of this video, thanks very much for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.